Daemen graduates are found in many interesting careers all over the nation and the globe. Marianne Esposito has a show on PBS called Ciao Italia, a cooking show on 270 stations. Sue Falsone is the head physical therapist for the Los Angeles Dodgers and is the first woman in Major League Baseball to hold this distinction. Anthony Jones is a New York City sports and entertainment lawyer. Thomas Kessler is the executive vice president for global affairs and global project management at Schering Plough Research. Major Kevin Klosterman, a physician assistant, is in the U.S. Marine Corps and served both in Iraq and Afghanistan. Lynn Marinelli was the first woman to chair the Erie County Legislature. Margaret Quinn is the artistic director of the Theater of Youth of Buffalo. These are just a few of the distinctions that our alumni have graduated from Daemen and gone on to pursue careers and be very, very distinguished. And I have no doubt that one day soon we'll be adding Sarah Rodman's name to this list as the first woman president of the United States. It's my pleasure to introduce our student speaker, Sarah Rodman.
Niman hao shui sheng hajia, wo jiao Sarah Rodman, hadase shui sheng zai Daemen. Hace 4 años yo estaba en ese gimnasio, en esos mismos asientos, reconocido como una erudita. Vous êtes ici parce que vous prenez l'initiative, vous êtes intelligent et désireux d'apprendre. Félicitations pour vos réalisations. Welcome, students and families. I am Sarah Rodman, and I am a senior at Daemen. 4 years ago, I was in this gym, in those seats, being recognized as a scholar. You are here because you take initiative, are intelligent, and love to learn. Congratulations on your accomplishments. Parents, imagine this scenario for a moment, if you will. Every morning for 9 years, you drive your child down the street to a small school called St. Benedict's. On your drive, you pass Daemen College, and your child tells you, I'm going there one day. Now, aside from the scary thought that your kindergartner was already talking about college, I'm sure you would have paid no mind all those years. Students, your turn to imagine now. You're a junior at a high school not far from St. Benedict's or Daemen. In fact, Sacred Heart is literally right down the street. You're trying to decide whether to pursue a music degree or stick to that sensible career choice your parents always talked about. You take a tour of Daemen and realize that fate decided 16 years ago that you would not leave Main Street for your education anytime soon. I'm sure you recognize that my introduction was not in English and probably wondered if I was at the correct event. I have always loved languages. I took Spanish throughout grade school and high school, completed my minor last spring, and found myself craving another. It turns out another really meant Mandarin, Chinese, and French. And I'm currently in my 2nd semester of both. I wouldn't give up my Spanish skill for anything, as it has been invaluable in all aspects of my life. From asking the Mexican bakers if the rolls contain peanuts, my little brother's life-threatening allergy, to helping Spanish speakers at Macy's, where I work part-time. I have benefited greatly from my foreign language studies, and I hope to incorporate them into my future career. There are not many people who can confidently say that they speak Spanish and are studying a different Romance language along with one of the hardest languages. Your languages will set you apart from other applicants or students for the rest of your life, and I strongly encourage continuing those studies. You never know when you might need another language, and as the United States become more global, your dream job might depend on one. I chose Daemen and declared a political science major with minors in pre-law and Spanish. But those decisions were not made overnight, and I certainly did not expect to be standing here in front of you today. Show of hands, how many of you are nervous for your interviews? I'm hoping that my experience calms some of those nerves. I used to think that my Scholars Day interview was one of the scariest things I had ever done, but I found out my sophomore year just how wrong I was. I love talking, truly I do. Put me in line with complete strangers at Wegmans, and I can have a best friend in 15 minutes. But my interview seemed to say otherwise. In high school, I was the president of our political union organization. Basically, political enthusiasts would get together once a week and have friendly debates or talk about current political issues. To this day, I'm embarrassed to say that I cannot remember who interviewed me on Scholars Day because of how horrified I was after. The initial interview started off great. We talked about my theater experience and my dreams of law school and the presidency, but then I was asked to talk about political union at Sacred Heart. We discussed how I would handle disagreements about controversial topics. Somewhere between my Miss America-worthy statement about keeping the peace, I accidentally alluded to my political and personal stance on the issue I had used as an example. One thing crossed my mind: damage control. I tried so hard to make it seem that my personal opinion was just an example of a personal opinion. But even then, I walked out of there with no hope of the scholarship. All those years of political correctness and professionalism had been thrown out the window with just one comment. I broke one of the most important rules of social interaction: never discuss religion or politics. Even though I legitimately felt that I ruined any chance of the scholarship, I was Sarah. That's what the faculty wants to see: who you are, and not who you think they want. Trust me, I would like to say I'm proof, or I wouldn't be standing here today. That's something I learned to love about Daemen: the fact that professors encourage you to be yourself, something I already never had a problem with. Ever since my parents can remember, my future career of choice has always been a Supreme Court justice or first woman president of the United States. So it made sense when I chose to pursue a political science degree. One of the biggest reasons I chose Daemen was because of its affiliation with an internship program in Washington, D.C. In the fall of 2010, when I was just a sophomore, I applied and accepted a spot in the program for the following spring semester. After a grueling interview process, 2 of us were selected out of approximately 80 students to intern with the American Bar Association. As a political student on the legal track, an internship with one of the most respected legal entities in the field seems like an incredible opportunity. Incredible was an understatement. Not only did I attend congressional hearings with political figures such as Ed Smart, Elizabeth Smart's father, but I had the opportunity to meet 2 Supreme Court justices. And I did all of this as a sophomore. I was absolutely scared out of my mind, more than my scholars interview. Here was this Buffalo girl who commuted to college, never lived with anyone other than her family, and had never lived away from home. I packed my suitcases, all 8 of them, and left for DC, where I spent the best 5 months of my entire life. The first 2 weeks were rough. I think they knew I was the only one who had ever dormed because they roomed me with 2 Swedes and a complete Southern belle. Talk about a culture shock. Living with complete strangers is hard enough, but when those strangers don't use dishwashers, are perfectly comfortable walking around in the bare minimum, literally no pun intended, and sometimes speak to you in Swedish, it can be quite the experience. Living independently was a perfect growing experience for me. Scary, but perfect. Although, there's nothing more frightening than finding out you do not know how to use powder laundry detergent. And that's realizing that they expected misdirectionally challenged to operate a metro system. While I admit that I got off at random stops my first few weeks because I was too embarrassed to pull out my map, I did figure out the system eventually. The people and the city were amazing, but there was someone that helped me the most throughout my time there. Picture Mr. Feeney from Boy Meets World meets Professor Snape from Harry Potter. My boss, Denny, was a scary lady. In fact, for the first month, I don't think she even knew my name. but I knew that she was tough and smart. Her famous line was, "People in DC move fast, so you better move faster." And did that motivate me? I don't think area natives had ever seen a 5'3" girl in heels move so fast on Capitol Hill. She must have learned something about me, because 2 months into my internship, her secretary up and left, and she offered me the position. Working for a perfectionist was hard work, but it paid off, because there is nothing like a letter of recommendation for law school from the ABA. I left DC with memories, some best friends that I still talk to daily, a better sense of direction, and a newfound appreciation for liquid detergent. But most importantly, I found a career path. I would like to say this path was found by one of the most influential professors I had here, Melissa Fiore. She encouraged me to take the leap as a sophomore and go to DC, as well as mentor me on how every opportunity I receive should be considered carefully. Her words of wisdom replaced nerves with determination. Currently, I have been accepted to the John Marshall Law School in Chicago, Seattle Law School, Baylor Law School in Texas, Thomas Jefferson Law School in San Diego, and the University of Buffalo Law School. And in June, I will take the Foreign Officer Service exam. Daemen kept my interest in politics, pushed my foreign language boundaries, and DC strengthened my passion for law. Turning those factors into simple parts of an equation, and I mean really simple since I'm not good at math, I will pursue international law with the hopes of working for an embassy. Sadly, that means my time on Main Street has come to an end. As I finish out my college career, I look back with no regrets. I have turned my academic and personal challenges into a possible career path. I encourage you to do the same. Take every challenge you are handed and make it your own, because only you can control your future. Take advantage of everything Daemen College has to offer. I know I did. Again, I congratulate each and every one of you. Hao Yun, buena suerte, bon chance, good luck.